welcome to Kaiju Review.
Today we'll be taking a look at the Thai creature feature Garuda.
Based on the legendary creature, is this movie legendary?
Or should this have been buried in history?
Let's find out. "8,000 years ago, a tribe of winged creatures existed which lived in secluded lives."
These are not the type of winged creatures that I think about when we do this show.
Okay, what type of winged creatures do you think of when we do this show?
Well, let me show you.
Oh, I see. You should be more open-minded. Then one day, a renegade in the tribe, stronger than the rest, begins to attack the others. This lasts until the remains of the tribe capture and imprison the renegade.
In 1975, near the border of Pakistan, a man, Rashid, searches a cave for Dr. Pierre, who is trying to dig something out, to warn him that soldiers are coming. However, Pierre strikes something, which, combined with the bombing that's occurring, causes a cave-in. The two men survive and learn that they have uncovered a mysterious cavern containing what Pierre calls Garuda. As the bombing continues, Rashid is forced to drag Pierre out of the cavern, only for him to die in another cave-in. With Pierre the only survivor, he finds a talon.
In 2005, a train tunnel is being dug out beneath Bangkok, Thailand. One of the engineers discovers solid rock despite the fact only limestone should be under Bangkok. His partner decides to just drill through it and not worry about it, resulting in the system overheating. Pulling the drill back and going to investigate, they find the skull in the rock.
Well, that's not creepy at all.
As Lena, the daughter of Pierre, gives a presentation on ancient creature, the men she's trying to get funding from deride her for being only half Thai and opt to not fund her research for this incredibly dumb reason. Lena then has a flashback to when the public verbally attacked her family when she was just a child. The flashback also reveals her father died when she was still a child. Back in the present, Lena's uncle, Wichai, tells her he'll try to submit the proposal again and tells her to work somewhere with her partner, Tim.
2 months later, Tim is showing kids dinosaur fossils in a museum. Leah gets a phone call from Wichai telling her to come back to Bangkok right away. Though she claims he can't make it until tomorrow, he went and sent a pair of helicopters to pick her and Tim up anyway. When they arrive at their destination, they find themselves surrounded by soldiers swarming around the entrance to the train tunnel that was being worked on earlier. Wichai introduced them to Tan Tosharai and Karzak, who criticized them for not being full Thai, then bring them down into the tunnel. I don't think that's a good idea.
In the tunnel, we're introduced to some special soldiers, and Wichai explains to Lena and Tim why they're there, showing them the skull that was uncovered. Lena speculates that other fossils might be in the same area, and shows them the talon her father gave her. Tan decides to take the scientists in with his men.
What are they going to find? Fossils? They arrive at the stone where the skull was found. Leah and Tim investigate the scene. Lena hears something in the stone, and she and Tim realize there's a cave behind the stone. Tan decides to blow open a hole in the stone and gets his demo man Wit to set up an explosion which gladly upsets Lena. Wit tries to look cool while he sets off his explosion, but the shockwave snuffs out his lighter.
No. If you want to look cool in front of an explosion, you either need to be walking away from the explosion or posing like a cool tokusatsu character.
The soldiers enter the cave, finding something. Lena continues to protest, then accuses them of stealing her father's work. She then finds that Tim's being held hostage, and Tan has the pair arrested. While Lena threatens to sue while being imprisoned by the armed soldiers, Tim quietly works to unlock the door, telling her to keep her voice down. She thinks it's a stupid idea, until he gets the door unlocked.
Geez, someone's not patient.
Would you be?
You know me. Of course not! Witch-Eye collects samples of a tree-looking thing when he spots a giant hand nearby and prays for forgiveness. While watching this in another room, Tan has a flashback of a previous adventure he and his men were on. They encountered a giant snake called Naga that one of his men prayed to before being eaten.
So this is a team of soldiers that fights monsters?
Yes.
So they're not the bad guys, and they're actually trying to do the right thing?
Yes.
Huh.
Cry tries to tell Tan that it was just an accident and to get over it, and points out that Lena and Tim have escaped.
Lena decides to find evidence in the uncovered cave and isn't concerned that they'll be spotted.
Apparently she's under the assumption that if they find the evidence, they can film it, and the soldiers just won't destroy it right away.
I'm not going to lie, I was rooting for Lena earlier when she was being discriminated against.
But now that she's being stubborn, stupid, I have second thoughts.
Tim then finds the hand Witch-Eye spotted earlier and shows it to Lena.
Tan and his men show up, and Tim tells Lena to run as he knocks out the light. Tim then fights off the soldiers before being knocked out. Tan divides his men, sending Pole with Wit to find Lena and keeps Claw and Talong with Tim. The other soldier sets the light back up, but they are broken and won't turn on while a heart begins beating nearby.
Tim wakes up and finds himself being watched over by Harn, but admires the design on the man's knife. Harn tells Tim that the design allows the knife to be used on spirits and calls it a doctor's knife. Tim also asks about the fang around his neck, and he reveals it to be a Naga's fang, showing him a picture of a cryptid, but says the picture is a fake.
The photo was not created for the movie. It's an actual cryptid photo. Whether or not that the photo is actually real, I couldn't tell you.
Harn then tells Tim that they kill gods.
A man is killed near Witcha, but he misses it, but soon finds the soldier that was near him gone. Noticing the hand he saw is now missing, Witcha is then killed by the Garuda. Lena is somewhere, having managed to avoid being captured when her camera is shot out of her hand.
See?
Tan tells Lena to give up, but Lena complains about the fact that he shot at her, despite telling the men not to use weapons. She agrees that it's just a fossil, but Tan brings up the very good point that maybe not a fossil and maybe a god. Lena then proceeds to mock his beliefs, so he mocks her heritage. She then confronts Tan face to face, but everyone's being watched by Garuda.
Claw spots Garuda and shoots at it, but it swoops down and kills a soldier, who shoots wildly and takes out other soldiers. Also, Claw gets shot in the leg, and everyone except for Lena starts shooting wildly. Tan tells Tanong to watch his back as he goes to help Claw. Garuda swoops down and kills Claw, and the soldiers shoot at the monster while Lena makes a break for it.
So wait, time out. All of you were shooting at that thing, and none of you got a good shot? Jeez. Garuda grabs the soldier that's chasing her, and she scrapes her father's talon across the ground, drawing the monster's attention to her. Tan saves her in the nick of time, shooting at Garuda before it flies off, but he drops his gun when he lands, and Lena picks it up, aiming it at him. When Garuda screeches, Lena puts the gun down and runs off.
Back with Tim and Harn, Harn tells Tim not to go anywhere, then leaves to investigate the noises from the fight.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna leave.
No, you're not.
Oh yeah? Just watch me.
Sit your butt back down.
Yes.
Tim is nearly shot through the wall and the lights go out. Garuda's claw punctures the door, stopping just before reaching Tim. Then Garuda just leaves, and Tim gets out of the room, finding the chaos left in the hallway and a trail of blood. Tim tries to remain calm as he walks down the hallway when Harn grabs him and pulls him aside, telling him he told Tim not to leave.
Then shoves Tim into a locker before going to confront Garuda. Harm managed to cut off one of Garuda's talons, but Garuda knocks his knife away and chases him down, pins the knife to the floor before he can grab it. Meanwhile, Tim managed to get out of the locker and punches the air repeatedly until Lena tells him to stop.
Lena decides they need to help Garuda.
It's trying to kill you!
Tim argues that that's a crazy idea, and Lena rationalizes it by pointing out that it's probably confused after coming out of hibernation. Tim still thinks she's crazy, and she decides to do it herself, so Tim caves in.
Stupid people!
While Wit treats Taelong, Cry fails to connect to Harm. Tan tells his men to follow standard emergency procedure, but they argue that this is no normal situation. Tan then shows them the dog tags of their fallen comrades who've given up their claims that any god that uses the power to abuse others is just a normal beast that must be killed. This motivates the team to come up with a plan to blow up the cave, with Wit setting up the explosives.
Pol watches Wit's back, not realizing that his own is being watched by Garuda. Leaving Tim at the entrance, Lena enters the cave. Pol spots her and asks Tan if he should kill her. Lena enters further, just barely avoiding triggering the explosives without realizing, and Tan grabs her just before she can trigger one, causing her to finally notice all the tripwires. As Wit works to disarm the explosive, Garuda comes down and punches him, causing him to let go of the tripwire and triggering the explosives. The explosion ruptures a pocket of water which begins to rapidly flood the cave.
Tan and Lena make it above water, and Tan marvels at the fact that despite how ignorant and selfish she is, Lena is still alive while many others have died. She argues that all she wanted to do was to prove her father right. Tan treats her wounds and apologizes, and he helps her through the tunnel to safety. They spot a shadow. Tan raises his gun, but it turns out to be Tim.
At the train station, a security guard spots the trio and goes to chew them out, but Tan pulls his gun on him. Tan calls someone as the train arrives at the station, but Tim spots claw marks on the train. As the train pulls out of the station, Garuda appears behind the security guard and kills him. This causes everyone in the station to flee in terror, and when Garuda attacks the trio, Tim is pinned under a fallen pillar.
Garuda chooses to pursue Tan and Lena. Tan runs out of ammo and is knocked aside. Garuda then gets up close to Lena, then more soldiers show up and start shooting at the bird creature, driving it away while they rescue Tan and Lena. As tear gas fills up the station, the soldiers go in to confront Garuda.
Well, let's see how this pans out.
Back on the surface, soldiers rush into the station as Tan and Lena exit. Cry and Tanong are there to greet them, and Tan tells Cry to call the men he sent into the tunnels back up and surround the exits. Also, Tim survived and rejoins the others. Cry loses contact with the men he sent down, and more soldiers surround the entrance to the station.
While Tim decides to steal a drink of water, there's a shot of the manhole cover behind him. After nothing emerges from the station, Tan goes to investigate and finds nothing. As Tim steals a bite to eat, Tan spots smoke coming up from behind him and tells him to run. Garuda then bursts up behind Tim and drags him down into the sewer, and Tan has to hold Lena back to keep her from sharing the same fate. Garuda then spreads his wings, and Tan orders the soldiers to open fire on the monster. Garuda takes flight right into Bangkok's skyline, passing helicopters as he does so, and soars through the city.
Now people are freaking out.
Garuda then begins attacking people in the streets, causing mayhem in its wake. The news reports on a curfew that's been enacted as soldiers search for Garuda. Government and military bigwigs get into an argument, but a general gets them to shut up and listen to Tan's report. He tells them what Garuda is capable of and reveals that if they can't get Garuda to stop moving, they won't be able to kill it. Lena suggests they use a decoy and intends to use their father's talent to attract the bird creature.
As the soldiers get into position, Cry notices that Taelong is almost glad to be facing off against Garuda. The Birdman swoops past the soldiers on the roof. Lena uses the talon to attract the creature. Garuda perches atop a building and Tan realizes it spots the soldiers on the roof. As Taelong arms his rocket launcher, Tan tries to get its attention, but no avail. Taelong fires, but Garuda takes flight, leading the heat-seeking missile to the building that Tan's in. Garuda then confronts the soldiers on the roof, killing them. Did not see that coming.
Garuda then turns his attention to Lena, spotting the talon. Tan shows up with a machine gun and begins firing on the Birdman, injuring its wing. Unfortunately, the gun jams before Tan can finish the job, and Garuda tears its own wing off and knocks Tan aside. Tan tells Lena to throw the talon, and she goes to drop it off the building, but hesitates. As the Garuda goes after her, Tan tackles her down, causing Garuda to lunge over the side of the building.
Despite Lena's despair, Tan tries to pull her to safety. Unfortunately, Garuda has climbed back up the side of the building to get to them. Just as Garuda is about to grab Lena, Tan uses a machine gun to shoot Garuda in the head, finally killing the beast. Tan pulls Lena to safety and the camera zooms in on the dead creature. Well, that was Garuda. Just an okay movie.
I think it was an alright movie, but certainly not great.
It got its good points and it's got its bad points.
That's true. The design of the creature is pretty cool.
Too bad the CGI was not very good.
The film also feels confused, unsure of whether Lena or Tan are the protagonists we're supposed to be rooting for.
It seems like Lena at first, then she did some stupid stuff, then Tan proved right despite his bigotry.
The action scenes were generally pretty good though, if at times cliched.
He's right. Thanks for everyone for watching today's Kaiju review. Until next time, I'm Tank.
I'm Protomet.
See ya.